This is the Benchwarmers Trivia Podcast. We have assembled the world's finest sports and trivia dorks to prove once and for all that we are just as bad at this as we were at sports.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 236 of the Benchwarmers Trivia Podcast, sports trivia for those of us who rode the pine. I'm your host tonight, David Lux, and tonight's game will feature the Benchwarmer team of Scott and Josh versus the team of Eric Eid and Matt Takimoto. It's all Benchwarmers tonight. All right, let's start with Matt. How you doing this evening? No, wait, I can't start with you because I think you have the team name. Eric Eid, how are you doing this evening?
Fine.
That's it, just fine?
I went to Costco. No, I'm good.
All right. It wasn't too crowded, Christmas and all that?
It's always, but I handle it.
All right, excellent.
This
all
mustache moves a lot of people out of the way now, so we're...
Especially kids.
I could go so many directions. All right, Matt, how you doing? And why don't you share your team name? So rare that Eric's not the team name guy.
I know. Eric was a couple of minutes late to recording, so I got to cure herpes while he was on the way here. I'm good, by the way, but our team name tonight is going to be finally a clean bill of health.
Perfect. All right. I love it. Good start. It's a good start. All right. Scott and Josh, how you guys doing? And who wants to go first and something like that? You're going to let Josh go first.
Yeah, things are good. It's a bye week for the Vikings, so I paid very little attention to the NFL today. I'll get caught up probably after the recording. I'll look on ESPN, see who won, see lost, see how bad my fantasy teams are doing. And see, when my fantasy teams are doing bad, my real team's doing mediocre and they're on a bye week, I just don't care that much. So, but it gave me a day to get stuff done.
Perfect. All right. And Scott, what you got? How you doing?
I'm fine. I didn't go to Costco, but I'm still fine. So that's okay. So team name for Josh and I, not sure if this is entirely accurate. David, you would know better than we would, but we're just surmising here because it probably is. 'Tis the season, obviously, in college football, and when you listen to this, I'm sure hopefully it was a great playoff and it was satisfying. But Josh and I don't care about that because tonight we're not bowl eligible.
You mean as a team? You and Josh are not bowl eligible.
Correct.
Yes, correct. We are not.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll have to look that up when we get a little time.
Even if we are bowl eligible, we probably don't want to accept whatever
bid we get
offered.
The Pop-Tarts Bowl or whatever.
There's some sort of sanctions that you're under.
They literally call it the pity bowl, and they're just like, all right, you guys can play in this one.
I just read something, and I'm not sure if it was from a reasonable source, but that the Pop-Tarts Bowl is actually going to have the first ever edible mascot.
I saw that as well.
You think it's true?
I don't know.
Okay.
Why not? Why not just have a pig?
Wait, you weren't supposed to eat the bloomin' onion from the Outback Bowl? You weren't supposed to do that? Oh, no.
David, I thought you were going the way of these new courts in the NBA, and it's the first edible field is what I thought you were going.
Oh, wow.
It's just frosted.
Oh, that's just...
You know what? I wouldn't put him past it to color it to make it look like a frosted Pop-Tart.
Oh.
Was it Ed Ogeron that used to eat grass off the field before the game started? Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
There have been edible fields. Let's be clear.
Always.
If you try hard enough, anything's edible.
All right. Fair enough. I think we better get going. Otherwise, we'll never get out of here. Okay, so we've got Find Me a Clean Bill of Health versus We're Not Bowl Eligible. Let's kick it over to Dan for the rules.
The game will consist of 4 quarters of play, each with different trivia style. The styles of quarters 1 through 3 will change from show to show, and I will explain them as we go along. Like any good sporting event, we will have a halftime show after the second quarter with entertainment questions. And in the fourth quarter, our teams will wager from their points accumulated to see who are today's clipboard captains, to be honored like the true benchwarmers they are. All right, let's get this game underway.
All right, today's first quarter is going to be sporting haikus.
Sporting haikus. For this quarter, there will be 4 questions in haiku form. Each question is worth 25 points.
Question 1. Criticizes refs, and for that reason, I'm out. Soldbroadcast.com.
We're checked in.
We're Not Bowl Eligible has checked in. Finally, a clean bill of health. You can talk it out.
Yes, Matt, that's correct.
Okay, yeah, my first thought, especially with selling some tech properties for lots of money, was Mark Cuban. So we're checking in with Mark Cuban.
All right. And we're not bowl eligible. What did you guys have?
Yeah, same thing. And for that reason, I'm out. Great shout out there. Even though he's leaving Shark Tank, unfortunately. So we also checked in with Mark Cuban.
Both teams are receiving points. And yeah, Scott, you got it straight on, which is why I put it in there. I've noticed that the other Sharks, they don't like to stick to a script, but Cuban, it seems like he always says, and for that reason, he says whatever, yada, yada, yada. And for that reason, I'm out. Yeah, I also just saw that he is selling his majority stake in the Mavs, but he's keeping enough that he's going to be the
president of basketball operations. I think.
President of basketball operations.
Yeah.
So not the controlling owner anymore, but he's still gonna have a major stake. But he bought them for his stake for $285 million in 2000. He's about to sell his share for $3.5 billion. So about a 10x return in 20 years. It's pretty good.
It's not bad. Hey, David, by the way,
seems
some people like to stick to quality scripts. And so just
Look,
saying.
I and Cuban's still my favorite Shark, so it's going to be a shame when he leaves.
Same.
I'm with you. All right. Question number 2. Most logos face right. One from NFL looks left. Also shows one letter.
We'll check in.
All right. Finally, a clean bill of health has checked in. We're not bowl eligible. Your turn to talk it out.
I think we got to figure out these clues. Like,
I think the only one that faces left. Wait, most logos face right. One from NFL looks left, and you're saying only one looks left. I'm almost certain it's the Eagles, but I don't know what letter.
I don't understand the one letter thing. with
Is
the
there a
Eagles now,
letter
'cause there's-
hidden somewhere in the Eagle? 'Cause
I
I'm
would
almost. It looks left.
Yeah, I would assume if there was, you would think it would be a P or an E, but I can't like picture that in there hidden.
I can't either, but maybe
Right.
you'll let us know. But if that's not the right answer, I might throw a challenge flag.
Nice, I see what you did there. I mean, I'm fine with it just because I don't want to sit here and think of every single logo.
It faces left.
Yeah, it's definitely. Yeah, let's just do it.
All right.
And
we're
then
in.
and I especially want to do it because if it's wrong, I want this whole protest thing. And
All right, we're gonna check in with the Philadelphia Eagles.
All right. And finally, a clean bill of health.
Yeah, the Eagles are the only one that face. I face is left, but whatever that means. And there is a hidden E, kind of like in the feathers of the head. But yeah, we
Okay.
went with the Eagles.
Both teams are receiving points. Yeah, I had never noticed the E before. I don't notice a lot of these things in logos, and then somebody randomly points them out and says, "Oh, I never noticed the E." But yeah, if you go back and look at the Eagles logo and sort of I don't know what you call that part of the eagle, but sort of in the feathers, there's a fairly clear E that I mean, presumably was done on purpose. I had no idea. That logo's
I mean, sure, you can say that's an E. It's
didn't
not really an E.
I didn't make this up. They did it on purpose. It
It
is
was.
an E.
It
I'm
is
telling
done on
you,
purpose.
I'm just saying it's not really an E.
Yeah.
It
It's this-
resembles the three fingers of an E, but there isn't a vertical anywhere really. If you're telling me it's over by the eye,
It doesn't. There
it's a
doesn't.
wonky shaped E. No.
It's the same as like the everyone says the Falcons is an F. I'm like
Sure.
Meh.
Like if you stretch what it means to be a
Yes.
particular letter, then sure.
like the Bengals logo is supposed to be a B, but it's still garbage. So I mean, who knows what that means?
Even though the exact outlet is perfectly straight. Yes, that's
Yeah.
correct.
Okay.
All right.
I'm letting it go. I'm done looking. I wanted to look at it right away before I forgot. All right.
All right. Question number 3. NBA hoopster, last US born MVP, playing for 5th team.
That's an old timey word for a basketball player.
Hoopster.
Why does it need to be in there?
For syllable
Because
count.
so how haikus work, Eric?
Oh, all right, hold on. Let me write. I gotta write this down. Continue.
There are beats and there are certain numbers of beats that
I
have
guess
to be.
I could have said player. I could have said baller. I don't know. Yes.
Okay.
We will check in.
All right. Finally, a clean bill of health is checked in. We're not bowl eligible. Your turn again to talk it out.
I think we were just kind of right there too. I think this is James Harden. We thought about the teams. He's currently playing for his 5th, so that makes sense. So we're checking in with James Harden.
Okay. And clean bill of health.
Yep, James Harden's played for OKC, the Rockets, the Nets, the Sixers, and now the Clippers, and won the MVP more recently than Steph Curry or Kevin Durant. So we checked in with James Harden.
Yep. You nailed all my flavor text. Both teams are receiving points. I think the only thing you didn't mention is that I had sort of lost track of this, but the last 3 MVPs, unique MVPs, have been Embiid, who was born in Cameroon, Jokic, who was born in, I guess, what was then Yugoslavia, and Giannis, who was born in Greece. So Harden was the last US-born NBA MVP. Well done to all teams. All right, question number 4. Since last Stanley Cup, US team with longest drought, only Leafs longer. It's my attempt last minute to throw in a hockey question because Eve was playing.
Yeah, but it's in a haiku, so I got to figure out what that means.
Matt, you parse it for him and then tell him what it means, and then.
We can check in.
All right, clean bill of health has checked in. We're not bowl eligible for the 3rd time this quarter. We'll get a chance to talk it out.
Teams that haven't won in a while, right? But have won at some point.
So I know, I think, like I was mentioning there, I think the Sabres have the
Sure.
longest drought, but they've never won one.
Right. Yep. So they'd be out on that. Stars, they haven't won in a while, right?
They've won actually not that long ago. Like we're
Okay.
gonna have a team that probably goes back to like the 70s or something.
Yeah. Rangers, Rangers won in 94. Islanders,
Islanders, didn't they win a bunch in the
but I don't know if they won since then. I don't know that they
80s?
have.
I think they have.
Yeah, I think it was
They
in
won-
the 80s. Then they won like
the
4.
Flyers. I don't know if they've been good since the 70s.
That's a good one as well.
I can't think of any time they've won since the 70s. Just trying to think of other teams that have, because it's going to be an older team probably, right? It's not going to be any of these like teams that came in
It's
the.
like it's not going to be like the Coyotes.
No.
Right. Yeah. I kind of like the Flyers because I don't know that I can place
'Cause
another
the Penguins,
Stanley Cup
the
for them.
Bruins, they've all won, and
The
not that long
Devils.
ago, the Red Wings, the Blackhawks. I mean,
Blackhawks, yeah. The Kings,
the- yeah. I think.
Let's just go Flyers.
All right, we're gonna check in with the Philadelphia Flyers.
All right, and finally, a clean bill of health.
So the Flyers went in 95. They didn't win. Was not 95, I think, was the Devils. But around there, they lost. Pretty sure they lost. But anyway, yeah, it's the Flyers.
Both teams are receiving points. Yeah, the Flyers won in 75, but haven't won since. And you're right, Josh, actually, of US teams, the Sabres, when did they start? 71? But they've never won, of course, right? So
Correct.
they've barely sniffed it. Okay. Yes. So team points to both teams. And after the first quarter, we are all knotted up at 100 points. Well done, everybody. By the way, public service announcement, Scott and Josh, from my records, are 5-15 as a team. So you're definitely not bowl eligible.
We're not even.
All right.
They don't even have to look at our academics to see if our academic progress gets us
Exactly.
into a bowl.
Yeah, you don't need any tiebreakers.
How is our coach still around? I don't understand how he survived this long.
All right. Today's second quarter is going to be let it ride or throw in the towel.
Let it ride or throw in the towel. For this quarter, there will be 4 questions in a given category that increase in difficulty. After each question, teams can decide to let it ride and attempt the next question, or throw in the towel and take the points they have accumulated to that point. Each question is worth 50 points. If a team answers incorrectly, they will lose half of their points accumulated in the quarter.
The theme of this let it ride or throw in the towel is going to be NBA game stat lines. I'm going to read you a game stat line and tell you a year that it was accomplished, and you just have to tell me the player. For example, if I said 1963, 100 points, 25 rebounds, you say Wilt Chamberlain.
How come we didn't get that one as one of them?
Sorry. All right. Question number 1 of let it ride or throw in the towel. 1993, 45 minutes played, 0 points, 28 rebounds.
So I'm good if you are.
I'm fine with it. And if not, we don't have to think about anything for a while.
Correct. And we'll be on our way to 5 and 16. All right, we're going to check in.
All right. We're not bowl eligible. Who definitely is not, is checked in. Finally, a clean bill of health. You can talk it out.
So I think we have an answer, but we could be like everybody else and just name every person that would have this stat line.
Did Everett got a rebound?
So let's start with all the wrong answers. Tree Rollins wasn't a big scorer.
Detlef Schrempf.
We know it's not any member of the Sabonis family.
Oh, no, definitely not. You know who it could be? Luke Longley.
Sure. He was definitely tall and Australian.
45 minutes.
Those are the two qualities necessary for a rebounder.
I don't think
I think he would have
Luke
keeled
Longley-
over if he played 45
I was about to say
minutes.
Luke Longley played 45 minutes in a month. Okay, not in a game.
Fine, Bill Wennington. No, I can name other old Bulls players.
How about
Other
if you
tall
just name-
white
Bill
guys.
Cartwright.
How about if you just name the right answer?
All right, it's Tony. No, it's we're checking with Dennis Rodman.
Okay, and we're not bowl eligible.
Yeah, I remember seeing this stat. We also checked in with Dennis Rodman.
That is correct. See, not so hard. Okay, let's go on to question number 2. Oh, wait, sorry, I can't do that yet. Everybody, let it ride, throw in the towel. Who wants to go first? Clean bill of health? You guys gonna go?
This is up to Matt.
Oh, we're letting it ride.
Okay. All right, and we're not bowl eligible?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
I
can
mean,
let
we
it
have to.
ride.
We got to try to keep pace. Yeah.
All right, here we go. Question 2. 2016, 20 points, 20 assists, 0 turnovers.
So Luke Longley was retired at this point, right?
For sure.
He would have had a 0 turnover game then.
That's fair.
That's 1 out of 3. You need the point. You need the points out of
Oh,
assists.
they all have to match. I thought this was like
Mhm.
Hoops again.
Oh, by the way, in 2016, I had 0 turnovers in an NBA game also.
It was a couple years before my Stanley Cup victory, so I guess that's okay.
David, we will check in.
Okay, clean bill of health has checked in. We're not bill eligible. You have about another minute.
I don't know if we really needed to. I can't. There's no one else that makes sense.
Yeah, we're thinking Chris Paul. As soon as it said no turnovers, initially I'm like, oh, Westbrook. Then he said no turnovers, and it's like, well, it's definitely not Russell.
No.
Westbrook.
Bite your tongue.
I like Russell Westbrook, but there's no way.
I don't.
He's going
And
an
there's
entire
no
game
way
with no
he's having
turnovers.
0. Yeah, there's no way he's
Yeah.
having.
Chris,
I'm not
Chris
sure
Paul's
he
at least the
passes
guy that-
enough to get 20 assists.
Well, he
He gets
had like
He
a
gets to
he had like a
10
20,
assists
20
a lot.
If
Yeah,
it had
no,
been
he-
20 points, 20 assists, 20 turnovers, then it's Russell Westbrook.
It's him. It's him and Harden. Yeah, it's I think we
Yeah,
just go Chris Paul.
I can't think of anyone else who is more like, careful with
Yeah.
their passes. So, yeah, we'll check
right,
in
well-
with Chris Paul.
Okay, and clean bill of health. What'd you guys have?
I think we had pretty much the same line of thought where Chris Paul jumped immediately to mind and no one else really felt capable outside of a fluke or a miracle. And for question 2, it feels like it should be still a safe-ish answer. So we also checked in with Chris Paul.
Both teams are receiving points. Yeah, if you ever look at Chris Paul's assist to turnover ratio, like over the years, it's actually remarkable. I mean, and 20 assists to 0 turnovers is just, obviously unheard of. It's pretty rare. Thus, I can pull these stats. All right, I think this time I should ask. We're not bowl eligible first. Let it ride or throw in the towel.
I mean, with NBA stuff, you're a
Yeah.
pretty good student of the NBA.
Yeah,
What's
I mean,
the worst thing that can happen? We lose half the points.
We'll let it ride.
We already learned we're terrible. We're 5 and 15.
All right, and clean bill of health. Let it ride.
I think with our clean bill of health, we're feeling ready to take some risks, some newfound risks. So we're going to let it ride.
All right. Question number 3, 2014, 62 points, 13 rebounds, 0 assists.
All right, we'll check in.
All right. Finally, a clean bill of health has checked in. We're not bowl eligible. You have about 30 seconds.
So
Yeah.
to also with that, how many obscure names have scored 60 points in an NBA game?
Yeah, I mean, the guy gets,
There aren't
if it
many.
was 50, we'd have.
That's a different point. But
then we could say Corey Brewer, but yeah.
60 points that's a threshold that not a lot
Yeah.
of obscure guys get to. So
Yeah, I like your Carmelo thought.
well, he's definitely a guy that as soon as someone passes him the ball, he's gonna shoot.
They're not getting it back.
Yeah, he's not passing it to anyone. He's shooting. So
Yeah. I think I
and
like that.
He has had at least a 60-point game. I know that.
Yes,
I don't know if
definitely.
it was 2014. That probably sounds a good time frame for him to have done it.
Yeah.
And he gets a decent amount of, rebounds. He wasn't a huge number rebound guy, but that's the one that I can't think of anybody else who would fit some of that criteria.
We're not going to come up with anyone better.
All right, we're going to check in with Carmelo Anthony.
Right? And clean bill of health.
We thought about it for a minute, and Carmelo came up, but we decided to go with Fab Melo. No,
Oh.
we checked in with Carmelo. I'm pretty sure I watched this game, and I just needed for Matt to help me confirm that the Bobcats were still a team in 2014, and it was before they switched over. Because I'm pretty sure it was when he was with the Knicks in 2014 versus the Bobcats.
Both teams are receiving points. Yeah, the only reason I had question number 3, to be totally honest, is that I was afraid that somebody might say Kobe there. He's a guy who, the way Josh just described, no, not quite as bad, but
He would pass the ball sometimes.
a little bit. Right, exactly. He wouldn't be at 0 assists for sure. All right. Before we go on to question 4, finally a clean bill of health. Do you want to let it ride or throw in the towel?
Let's let it ride. Why not?
Okay. And we're not bowl eligible.
So, Scott, here's what we can do. We can gain 50 or lose 75. If we go, those are the choices.
Yeah.
So we actually will lose more than we could possibly gain if we go for it.
I was thinking about not going for it.
I'm cool with that because our luck usually runs out at some point, and
That
this is
and
the
also
most difficult of the questions. That's going to be.
I think it's good to build up as many points as we can for the fourth quarter.
Yep.
That's how we beat Ed last time, and that's how Matt lost Jeopardy. So the fourth quarter is really where we're going to come through, I think,
Wow.
and it's our chance to win. So let's save up some points for the fourth quarter.
I mean, we do have to bring him down a little bit. He is a Jeopardy champion, but we can't let that go to his head.
It's
That's
true.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, he's joined with us, so clearly it hasn't gone to his head.
My
He could be
Jeopardy
running
record
with a
is
more elite-
1-2, so I am not bowl eligible on Jeopardy.
You're tournament eligible. That's all that matters.
So
in
yeah,
Jeopardy.
I'm fine if we want to throw in the towel.
Let's do it.
All right, we're throwing in the towel. We're out.
Wow.
Wow. Impressive. I haven't seen this in a long time. All right.
It's not impressive.
Well, it's
I don't want
to.
to. So what's going to happen is we would be 125 points down if we went
fair.
for it. Probably.
Fair.
It's
All
just they
right.
quit. That's impressive. That's
Well, it's
Quitting.
practically unprecedented. Okay, so for finally a clean bill of health, and only for finally a clean bill of health, question number 4, 2017, 2 points, 7 rebounds, 25 assists, 3 turnovers.
God, this game feels familiar.
2017.
Mm-hmm.
Who would do that?
Hmm.
Would do that.
It's too honestly. So who wouldn't shoot the ball because they're not good at shooting? Guys with 25 assists isn't like I feel like there's not a lot.
Mm-hmm. That's a big game.
Westbrook's out immediately.
Right. If Westbrook's only scoring 2 points in a game, it's because he went 1 for 19 shooting.
Correct. You don't get assists for offensive rebounds. So
No.
Kidd has done it, but he was not playing in 2017 unless he came off the bench.
I'm trying to think. Like Mike Conley's a name that popped into my head.
Okay.
That feels a little bit late for like prime Conley. He would have been with the Grizzlies still at that point.
Somebody that pops in my head, not a good shooter that passed the ball a lot. What about Rondo?
Ooh, I like that. Yeah. No, he's got a bunch of big assist games.
That's what I feel like he's one of those 25 guys.
Yeah.
Like one of those, because there's how many that have done it? Less than 10?
Something like that. Yeah. I like Rondo.
All right.
I think we go with it.
We'll check in with Rondo.
And one team will be receiving points. Well
Nice
done.
poll.
It is Rondo. It's while he was playing for the Pelicans. He had 25 assists and only 3 turnovers. Yeah, I had one bonus one for fun that I think would not have been fair, but maybe for Scott or maybe for Matt. CJ Watson in 2013 had 1 point, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block, 1 turnover, 1 foul. So,
I wouldn't
Nice.
I wouldn't have remembered it, but I've seen that before. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
wouldn't
yeah.
remember who it was.
Now that's impressive.
yeah, that right. It's almost like you'd have to go out of your way.
And he played 1 minute. Did you mention that? That was all.
1 minute.
No, that's
No, a minute.
not true. That's not true.
45 minutes. Him and Luke Longley were hammering it out.
Before
was
you
the-
guys
it was
said
the-
Rondo, I was
It was the
thinking
Bugs
maybe
Bunny
Ben
playing
Simmons.
every position on the
Yeah.
baseball field in the basketball version.
Okay, so after the second quarter, we have scores of finally a clean bill of health. Now has 300 points with a small lead over We're Not Bowl eligible with 250 points. That will bring us to halftime.
It is now time for the halftime show. There will be 3 entertainment questions pertaining to sports, with each question worth 25 points.
So this halftime is going to be a slightly different thing. It's going to be pre and post game style, sort of. Each answer is going to be a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame band and a sports person, but instead of blending together pre and post game style, they're going to share a last name, so it'll sound like they're part of the same family. All right, I'll give you an example in a minute. So for the band, just so you know, I'm only going to give you a few of their more popular songs, and the sports person, I'll give you a typical sports description. So for example, if I said Ohio State current football coach and Basket Case or Boulevard of Broken Dreams, your answer would be Ryan and Green Day. Got it?
Oh, God.
Here we go. Question number 1. Reigning WWE Money in the Bank winner and Breaking the Law or Painkiller.
Got it. Okay. Josh, we can check in if you trust
Sure.
me on the Money in the Bank winner.
Sure.
All right, we're checked in.
All right. We're Not Bowl eligible has checked in. Finally, a clean bill of health. Time to talk it out.
We were right behind you in checking in. The reigning WWE Money in the Bank winner is Damian Priest, and the band is Judas Priest. So we're checking in with Damian and Judas Priest.
Okay. And We're Not Bowl eligible. What did you guys have?
Same answer, although he's Senior Money in the Bank. Damian Priest. So yeah, Damian and Judas Priest.
That is correct. Well done. Yeah, and Judas Priest was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2022. Fairly recent. All right. Question number 2. He once had 21 points and 10 rebounds in an NCAA tournament game, but went on to be the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. And Under the Bridge or Californication.
We can check in.
All right. Finally, a clean bill of health has checked in. We're Not Bowl eligible. Your turn to talk it out if you need to.
Scott, I'm pretty sure this is Julius and Red Hot Chili Peppers.
But wasn't Peppers not the number 1 pick? Wasn't he number 2 overall?
Is there another Peppers that this could be?
No,
that he
no, I
played in
just-
an NCAA tournament game as well.
It's definitely Julius Peppers. It's for sure.
So whether the
Um,
question is 100%,
I'm just
right
pretty
or
sure
not,
he's after David Carr. But either way, yes, let's do.
So the
your
question is,
answer.
did he really mean a number 1 pick or a first round pick? That's the question. Is
It does, but it doesn't matter because yes,
it's
the
going to
answer-
be. So we're going to check in with Julius and Red Hot Chili Peppers.
All right. And clean bill of health. What'd you guys have?
Yeah, we did the thing where because I completely ignored Ed. I ignored the fact that the question was wrong, but the answer was right. And so also checked in with Julius and Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah, that should have been. I meant to write number 2 pick. Yes, and everybody got it right anyway. So thank you. The answer is Julius and Red Hot Chili Peppers. The Red Hot Chili Peppers were inducted in 2012, I think, or somewhere around there, if I remember right. Okay, let's go on to question number 3. Panamanian/Mexican boxer who held world titles in 4 weight classes, but maybe most famous for losing the No Moss fight to Sugar Ray Leonard, and Rio or Hungry Like the Wolf.
Yeah, we can check in.
Thank you.
All right. Clean bill of health is checked in. We're not bowl eligible. Time to talk it out.
Josh, do you prefer Rio or Hungry Like the Wolf? I've never asked you this, and it's important because I ask most of my partners in life. So I'm glad that we were able to clear that up. I think I also slightly prefer Hungry Like the Wolf, but I like Rio.
Yeah,
The dance is in the
absolutely.
sand.
Absolutely. Can't go wrong with either.
I agree. I think we both know this is Roberto and Duran.
Yes, I
That's what we're
agree.
checking in.
All right. And clean bill of health.
For the record, I prefer Rio, but it is again close. And I did see Duran Duran live actually last June. at a music festival, and they still got it. They could still bring it. But this is Roberto and Duran.
Both teams are receiving points, and I've officially introduced a halftime style, and maybe I need to make the questions a little bit harder, but I've got more of these. So, all right. So after halftime, we have a score of We're Not Bowl Eligible with 325 points, just behind Finally a Clean Bill of Health with 375 points. Now on to the second half, and today's third quarter will be The Missing Link.
The Missing Link. This quarter will consist of 5 questions with theme-linked answers. The teams will attempt to answer the questions and guess the theme. Each question is worth 20 points. If a team checks in first via chat to the host with the correct theme before the 5th question, they will earn 100 points. The other team can still earn 50 points with the correct theme guess. If neither team has checked in with the correct theme before the 5th question, each team can earn 50 points with the correct answer to the theme after the 5th question.
Okay, question number 1 of our missing link. Both this player and his older brother had their numbers retired by the Auburn basketball team. He would go on to hit the 24th most three-pointers in NBA history, though his older brother had the more colorful shooter nickname.
We're going to check in.
All right. Not quite bowl eligible, as checked in. Finally, a clean bill of health. You can talk it out for about another minute and a half.
I have next to nothing.
The colorful shooter nickname is not doing a whole lot for me.
24th most 3-pointers in NBA history.
Mm-hmm.
With an older, how many people do we know? With how many brothers are there?
Like in the world, or
Yeah, roughly.
I
You
mean,
got to know that to be on Jeopardy. You got to know those stats.
at least 4 or 5, I would say.
Okay, all right. So it's not Luke Longley.
Luke and his older brother, Blue Lou Longley.
Yes.
That's colorful. I know colorful's not in quotes, but
Shooter. I don't.
Hmm.
McGavin? Shooter McGavin. Nope.
Shooter and Kevin McGavin.
I can't think of a brother duo that was good with threes.
the only brother duo I could think of that's good with threes is the Currys, and neither of them went to Auburn.
Yeah.
Well, how do you know that the university didn't retire their numbers anyway?
That's
No?
true.
If you give enough money to Auburn University, they'll do anything. That has been proven. Mark Price have a brother?
Does Charles Barkley have a brother?
Gnarls.
Guys that went to Auburn. Does
Big guns, Gnarls Barkley.
Does Chuck Person have a brother?
Oh, Wesley Person.
They're related?
I mean, they both have the last name Person, which is it's not like Smith or Johnson, so it's more likely
Moving on. Let's go. Which one do they want?
the younger one, right?
Who's-
This player and his older brother. His older brother had the more colorful shooter nick. So which one's younger, Chuck or Wesley?
Wesley's younger. Chuck had a colorful name?
He had a shooter nickname. I don't know Chuck Person's nickname,
I don't either.
but we have nothing else. So are we
Wesley,
checking in?
let's go with
Checking
it.
in Wesley Person.
All right. At long last, and finally a clean. Oh, no, sorry. I mean, we're not bowl eligible. What do you guys have?
That felt like we were playing against David, who always gets to the answer.
We haven't had a backup truck in a while.
Yeah, it's true.
His
That's
nickname
what that-
is the Rifleman.
Does that have to
So
do with
color has nothing to do with it. The shooter part had something to do with the nickname. Chuck Person was the Rifleman.
I didn't mean colorful literally.
That's
And
where
what-
I was like stuck going, who has a color in their nickname? And then I saw the shooter in quotes, and then
Yeah.
and Scott had sent to me Wesley and Chuck Person. So yeah, we also checked in with Wesley Person.
So yes, Wesley Person's older brother was Chuck, although they were a good number of years apart. I feel like they were probably 7-8 years apart.
I don't
Yeah.
want to say we needed a backup truck because we just went about it the wrong way.
Instead of thinking of guys that went to Auburn, which is a short
Correct.
list.
I was looking.
I can't remember because I just saw the list.
You were
but the
thinking
number of
about
people-
brothers, which is a long list.
Yes,
number-
yes.
right.
I just
there are only maybe 6 or 7 players I think who have had their numbers retired by Auburn basketball. 2 of them are
Yeah.
persons. One of them is Charles Barkley, obviously, and the other ones are probably known.
They're all persons.
David.
They're
two
all
of them
persons.
Two of them are people.
People.
I don't know.
sorry.
Guy,
Yes.
that Brown education.
All right, here we go. Question 2. In the year 2000, he was the all-time NFL passing yards leader.
He gets a 2000 question. Is his favorite year,
I'm saying that, like, in the year 2000, if you looked at the all-time passing yards leaders, he would have been number 1.
which I'm sure he did because we had internet by then, David.
Barely.
Yeah, I mean,
We-
well, you were maybe not where you were.
It was AOL 400 free hours.
We
It was on a GeoCities page.
So here, my family was not well off, so we had dial-up internet barely, and our phone line wasn't good, so half the time it didn't work. So yeah,
All right, back to the question.
We will check in.
All right, finally, Clean Bill of Health has checked in. We're not bowl eligible. Has about a minute left.
I don't think we need it. Dan Marino, right?
So this has to be because all of the people who were above him on the list played well into
Right.
the 2000s, if not completely in the 2000s.
Yes, correct.
Because Favre, even though he had 8 years under his belt at that time, he wouldn't have passed
No, definitely
Marino
not.
by that point. So
and
Gotta be
and
Dan
Kurt
Marino.
and Kurt Warner was too new. So
it's got to be. It's got to be.
he's still bagging groceries
he
in
was
the office.
So yeah. So we're checking in with Dan Marino.
All right, and Clean Bill of Health.
They said exactly the same thing. We said it's Dan Marino.
Both teams are receiving points. And Josh, you were exactly right. I think the only guy who passed him eventually who had substantial time in the 90s was Brett Favre. But you're right. He wouldn't have been anywhere close.
Right.
So spot on. So our theme linked answers thus far are Wesley Person and Dan Marino. Question number 3. She is the co-author of the book, quote, Throw Like a Girl, How to Dream Big and Believe in Yourself, end quote. She also once struck out Mike Piazza, Albert Pujols, and Brian Giles in a row in the 2004 Pepsi All-Star softball game.
we're checked in.
All right, very quick check-in from We're Not Bowl Eligible. Finally, a clean bill of health. You got 2 minutes if you need it.
Yeah, I think Jenny Finch was the one that came to mind as well. I'm trying to think of other potential softball pitchers from back in that era.
I honestly, any that were, I mean, she was softball in that era.
Yeah.
So, and she's a pitcher, and she probably would have been the only one that would have been on the Pepsi, you know what I mean, All-Star
Yeah.
softball game. So,
I like it.
all right, we're gonna check in with Jenny Finch.
All right, and back to We're Not Bowl Eligible.
Yeah, I mean, same thing. Like Eric said, she was softball. So this could really only be one person. We also checked in with Jenny Finch.
Yes, and as we've talked about on the pod before, that Jenny Finch seems to be the only softball player that everybody universally knows. So it is correct. It is Jenny Finch. And our theme linked answers thus far are Wesley Person, Dan Marino, and Jenny Finch. Question number 4. Though he's only won 12 total PGA tournaments, 2 of them are the 2012 and 2014 Masters.
David, we can check in.
All right. Finally, a clean bill of health has checked in. We're not bowl eligible. You have about a minute.
This is when I was paying attention to the Masters. Yeah, this is when I watched golf when I was 23, 24, and 25 years old. For sure, it's what I was doing.
I usually watch the Masters, so yeah. I mean, you're sort of joking, but
It's when I was that age, I wasn't really paying attention to golf.
that's all right. I'm pretty sure this was Bubba Watson.
Yeah, that makes sense. I do know that he did win like 2. I thought it was maybe consecutively, but this makes sense. So yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay, we'll check in with Bubba Watson.
All right. And finally, a clean bill of health.
Yeah, he was huge for a minute, but it was really just kind of those 2 Masters that kind of got him there. It's Bubba Watson.
Both teams are receiving points. And yeah, that's exactly right, Eric. It did seem like he was a little bit of a flash in the pan. He was sort of, they said, I read somewhere that he was made for a master's type course, and which is why he's not successful other places. But to only have 12 wins and 2 of them, I mean, I guess choose your spots carefully and well. So yes, it is Bubba Watson. And our themed linked answers thus far are Wesley Person, Dan Marino, Jenny Finch, and Bubba Watson. Question number 5. A member of the NFL and Packers Hall of Fame and member of the NFL's 75th and 100th anniversary teams, he would go on to have a coaching career, finishing 3-19 as a college coach, 13-39 as a Canadian Football League coach, and 75-85 as an NFL coach for the Bengals, Browns, and Packers.
We
Sorry.
can check in.
All right. Here we go. We're Not Bowl Eligible has checked in. Finally, a clean bill of health. You can talk it out.
I think that resume sounds like a guy that might also fit the theme that we have. Eric, how do you feel about Forrest Gregg?
I don't know much about him, but it matches the theme. So
We will check in with Forrest Gregg.
And we're not bowl eligible.
Forrest Gregg.
Both teams are receiving points. And yeah, there's not much to know about him, Eric. I just read you his whole resume. So there it is. I mean, Matt would have known it right off. I'm sorry, Matt T would have known it right off. No, Matt D.
No, what?
Matt D. Sorry, Matt D would have known it right off. Okay, so our themed linked answers are Wesley Person, Dan Marino, Jenny Finch, Bubba Watson, and Forrest Gregg. I have 2 correct answers. They came in within a minute of one another, but the first one I received was actually from We're Not Bowl Eligible. So I'm going to let these guys tell you what the correct answer was. Scott, since it came from you, or Josh, whoever.
No, this was Josh.
All right, go for it.
Lieutenant Dan, Jenny, obviously Bubba and Forrest
You mean-
kind of give it away at the end. I think Wesley might have been Jenny's boyfriend, abusive boyfriend earlier on in the movie, I think. But yeah, so we checked in with Forrest Gump characters.
That is correct. It is Forrest Gump characters. You're exactly right. Wesley was the sort of obnoxious boyfriend, war protester, abusive boyfriend. That's exactly right. That was Wesley.
The guy Forrest punches in the middle of the Black Panther party.
That's correct. Yes.
And
that
then he
is correct.
politely apologizes for ruining their Black Panther party.
That's right. That's right. And then when Wesley is trying to apologize and get Jenny to get back on the bus, that's when Forrest says, I think you should go back to Greenbow, Alabama. So anyway, all right. Well, sadly for me, that has knotted up the score because they have just made up the difference from throwing in the towel earlier. So our score after the third quarter, finally clean bill of health with 525 points, and we're not bowl eligible also with 525 points. And that will bring us to the fourth quarter.
The fourth quarter, known as Put Your Fours Up. This quarter consists of 4 categorized questions that teams will wager up to 100 points each, not to exceed their current point total.
Our fourth quarter questions today in honor of Forrest Gump. Question number 1, shrimp kebabs, shrimp creole, shrimp gumbo. Question number 2, I'm not a smart man, but I know what love is. Question number 3, from that day on, if I was going somewhere, I was running. Question 4, after only 5 years of playing college football, I got a college degree. So shrimp kebab, shrimp creole, and shrimp gumbo will be in reference to Major League Baseball. I'm not a smart man, but I know what love is. It's about tennis. From that day on, if I was going somewhere, I was running. It's about Major League Baseball's stolen base leaders. And after 5 years of playing college football, I got a college degree. It's about college football. It's time for the teams to place their wagers.
We'd like to take a minute to invite you to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at BenchwarmersTP. We also have a Facebook group for fans of the pod called The Bench. Join us there to comment on the latest episodes and share cool sports facts and trivia. If you'd be willing to rate and review us on iTunes or Stitcher, we'd greatly appreciate the support so that other people may find this podcast. Thanks.
Now that the wagers are in, on to the questions. Question number 1 of our fourth quarter in shrimp kebabs, shrimp creole, shrimp gumbo. With 170 wins, what AL East pitcher holds the record for most career wins without ever having a single regular season at bat?
We will check in.
Okay, clean bill of health is checked in. We're not bowl eligible. I need an answer in the next 10 seconds.
Yeah, we'll get there. First name that we came out with, we spent a little too much time thinking about, was Mike Mussina. I think he had about 100 more wins because he's in the Hall of Fame. And
You just got to think of guys that were AL East.
so we're trying to think
exclusively,
of guys who were like in the AL East. Scott said Pat Henkin. I don't think he would have got to 170.
I don't either.
But when you put him in there, and thinking about Cy Young winners, Ron Guidry came to mind, and I think he pitched his whole career with the Yankees from
I think so too.
mid 70s to the late 80s. So before any type of interleague play. So
Yeah.
and that feels about right, maybe. So I think that's the best name we have with running out of time.
Yep.
So we're going to check in with Ron Guidry for 100 points.
Okay. And clean bill of health.
Well, that helps me. So somebody asked a question recently about retired numbers. I don't remember what game it was. So that kind of helped me get to where I needed to be. I knew his nickname. I knew what he looked like. And then I tried to go back to retired Yankees numbers, and I stumbled upon Ron Guidry. So that's what we also checked in for, 100 points.
So both teams are receiving points. Let me break this down or fill in some of the gaps. So first of all, the DH started in 73 and interleague play started in the mid 90s. So you needed somebody in that window in between mid 70s and mid 90s. Ron Guidry absolutely satisfies that. He did have his number, as Eric alluded to, at number 49, I think, was Guidry, and Guidry's number was retired. He then came back like as a bench coach or pitching coach or something with one of the Yankees teams in the mid to late 90s. But yeah, everybody got it. And the clue in there to the shrimp kebab, shrimp creole, and shrimp gumbo was that Ron Guidry's nickname is Louisiana Lightning.
I sent that to Matt. Like, I got his nickname. I got everything.
Is that a shrimp reference? I don't know.
Well, sure.
Well, Bubba's from Bayou La Batre, Louisiana.
That's right.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, Guidry was born, I think, in Lafayette, Louisiana. He was a total Louisiana boy, and that's why they called him Louisiana Lightning, because he was pitching for the Yankees. And yeah. Okay, question number 2. I'm not a smart man, but I know what love is. What's the minimum number of total points required to win a men's singles major tennis match?
We'll check in.
All right, Clean Bill of Health has checked in, so not quite bowl eligible. We'll let you talk it out.
4 points to win a game. For a men's match, you have to win 2 out of 3 sets. So you'd win 2 sets.
Right, so you can win back to back. Yeah.
Just trying to remember exactly. I haven't played in long enough that I'm struggling with, and I haven't been watching enough to how many games does it take to win a set? Is it best of 7?
Is it best of 7?
Or not best of 7? Does it take 7?
Like 7 decisions? You mean like can you win 5-2? You mean?
I'm trying to remember like what some of the scores have been.
The scores have been, yeah. I feel like in my head I see like 6-2 as
It might be 6.
I think 6 in my head I'm seeing 6. Like
because if you don't, because it goes 7 if you have to do the tiebreaker.
Yeah, so my app usually goes to 6.
So 4 times 6 times 2.
48.
So 48 points.
I like it.
Minimum number of total points. 15, 30, 40 win.
Right.
6, 4. Yeah, okay. 48, we're good.
Let's do it.
All right, we're checking with 48 points for 100 points.
And finally, a Clean Bill of Health. What'd you have?
So, yes, it's 4 points to win a game and 6 games to win a set.
They're 3 out of 5.
In a major, it is best 3 out of, or first to 3 set wins.
Women's is best of 3.
Correct. So 24 times 3 would be 72 points to win a men's singles major tennis match. We checked in with 72.
Sorry for whoever's editing, David, but
did we say 100 points, Matt?
We did. Oh, it is for 100 points.
Doesn't matter. That I just blew it for us, Scott. I was stuck trying to get to the games.
I know. We didn't even,
and I didn't get to the right number of sets required for the men's.
I feel really bad, Josh. You had the hard part. You had the hard part of that, and missed the easy part of that. Yeah, one team is receiving points. The correct answer is 72. 3 sets, 6 games, 4 points.
3 sets.
Yes.
Sorry, you're gonna have a number of whistles in here, but
yeah. So it's best 3 out of 5 in a major. It's
3 out of 5.
Yeah, they don't always play 3 out of 5, but they always do in majors. In a major, they do.
It is in the major. It's 3. Yeah. The women play best 2 of 3.
That's correct.
It's 3 of 5. I should have known that. I got stuck having to think too much time on how many games it took for a set.
Yep.
That I then didn't have time to really go, am I making the right number of sets?
That's why I feel bad, because you got the hard part of the question and missed the easy part of the question. Sorry. This is what we now call the pulling a Matt Takimoto.
I was going to say, sometimes you just,
2 out of 3 times. 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3 times.
Exactly.
It's a 2/3 Matt Takimoto, right?
Right.
All right. Shoot.
So here we go. Question number 3. Category is from that day on. If I was going somewhere, I was running. Though they both only won a single stolen base title, what father and son both led the league in stolen bases in the last 30 years and now are both first base coaches in the NL East?
We'll check in.
Okay. Clean bill of health is checked in. So with a minute to go, we're not bowl eligible. What you got?
Whole bunch of names that don't work, right? This can't be Dante and Bo Bichette, Josh.
No,
'Cause I don't think Bo is playing shortstop and somehow the first base coach for the
Well,
league.
initially I was trying to think like Biggio.
Oh, there's no way his son led the league.
Well,
in
that's
steals.
but he's still playing.
he's
So
also current, which is why I brought up the names that I did: Tim Raines and Tim Raines Jr.
Tim Raines
but-
won more than one.
That's what, yeah, exactly. And Tim Raines Jr. was kind of a utility outfielder, so I don't know that he would have had enough playing time.
I
But-
honestly don't have I don't know who in the world this is.
Yeah. And then the other people I'm thinking of, like, you're like, oh, D. Gordon, but his dad was a pitcher, so I don't think he ever led the league in stolen bases. So even though his name was Flash Gordon, which is misleading, but
Well, yeah, he wasn't on the base pad very much.
that's why I said Delino DeShields and Delino DeShields Jr. because,
I don't know if either of them won stolen base champion.
but if they did, it would only be once.
true,
and
true.
Delino Jr. is definitely not active anymore, even though he's been active within the last 5 or 6 years. So he could have transitioned into a first base coach.
Yeah.
And I could see Delino DeShields certainly being a first base coach. And they're a fast family because I know his daughter is like a track star.
In the end, it doesn't matter. Like, I don't feel as bad about messing up the second one now that we have no real good. So if you want to, I guess if you want to go with the DeShields, that's.
I think with time, I like if we had more.
I
time,
don't.
maybe we
I
could
can't
come
think
up
of any other names, and
yeah. All right, we're gonna check in with Delino DeShields and Delino DeShields Jr. for 100 points.
Okay. And clean bill of health, what did you guys have?
This is probably the dumbest I've felt on this podcast. I knew I sent over to Matt. I'm just like, big stolen base guy from the 90s was Eric Young and then I'm just like, I didn't think he had a kid and now I'm just realizing I'm like, no, he did. I just assumed that Eric Young from the late 2000s was the same one
It's the same guy.
from before.
He just put a junior on his name.
I thought, you know what I mean? Like all of a sudden Steve Smith Sr. And I'm
yeah,
just like,
yeah.
but no, there's no way he was in like early 90s and in 2009 and on was the same. Like he's still doing it, just out there, just no PEDs for this guy, apparently. Just out there.
He's like the Darryl Green of
45 years old,
Baseball.
stealing 100 bases a year. Anyway.
Fast Julio Franco.
So we I don't even know which one you want.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it says what father and son. So
We're gonna check in with Eric Young and Eric Young Jr. for 100 points.
one team is receiving points. Yeah, so Eric Young Sr. had a longer career, had a sustained career. Eric Young Jr., he wasn't around for very long. So it's I could see how you blink and then suddenly Junior's up. And I think the year he won it, he went from the Rockies to the Mets midseason, but he won the National League stolen base title. Now, so here's some interesting, after doing this research, this was part of the reason I was motivated to use this question, just because here's some flavor text that I never thought I didn't see at all. But anybody on the pod, anybody here watch Cobra Kai?
Yes.
You do. So Eric Young Sr. Has another son, Eric Young Jr.'s half brother, who is one of the stars of the last 2 seasons of Cobra Kai. His name is Dallas Dupree Young is the actor's name. He plays Kenny. You know who that is? So he is Eric Young Sr.'s son. So never saw that coming. All right. On to question 4, the last question of the evening. After only 5 years of playing college football, I got a college degree. That was the category. Who was the first quarterback in college history to start and win 4 consecutive bowl games? He won the Sugar Bowl, the Gator Bowl, the Fiesta Bowl, and the Meineke Bowl. He would go on to be drafted in the second round, but only throw 5 NFL passes in his whole career.
We'll check in.
All right. For the last time tonight, finally a clean bill of health has checked in. We're not bowl eligible.
You feel most confident of the names? Pat White is the most confident you feel out of that bunch?
I just loved Pat White, and West Virginia. They were really good when he was there, so they could have played in a couple of those bowls and then not been as good and gone to the Meineke Bowl. And again, the other names like Brian Brom, I just don't know that Louisville was good enough to even get to the Sugar Bowl at any point while he was there.
Not.
John Beck from BYU, yeah, there's a name, second-round quarterback that barely played, but I don't think BYU was ever in the Gator Bowl. So
just go with Pat White then, if that's what you feel best with out of your second-round quarterbacks who either didn't really play much or whatever.
Yeah.
Just go with
no
it,
idea.
Yes. I have
no idea. So we're not going to win. So we're going to check in with Pat White for 100 points.
All right. And clean bill of health. What did you guys have?
So that was the thing. Looking at every second round quarterback I could find, every single one of them passed more than 5 times. And Brian Brom, Jimmy Clausen, Kaepernick, Brock Osweiler, all more than 5 passes. The only one I could think of that was slightly close, maybe, but I don't think they would have played. And Matt kind of went with it, was Kellen Clemens. I don't remember him having a long whatever.
He had to throw more than 5 passes, right?
That's what I mean. It has to be more. And then Pat White popped in my head, and that is 100% because he turned into more like one of those like gadget, like run the ball, whatever, not a quarterback. And yeah, it makes sense. It has to be him. So we checked in with Pat White for 100 points.
Both teams are receiving points. I'm glad everybody ended on a high note. Nice job. Yeah, and you guys nailed it exactly right. I mean, West Virginia was really good. I mean, they were I don't know, top 5 team, which is how they ended up in the Fiesta Bowl, Sugar Bowl. So they're playing very well with Pat White, and he was a second-round pick who, did not much. So anyway, both teams are receiving their 100 points. It had to be somebody fairly recently too, because it hasn't been that long that freshman quarterbacks have been able to play and play 4 full seasons.
Right.
But yeah, so he went to the Sugar Bowl and then the Gator Bowl, Fiesta Bowl, Meineke Bowl. He was actually the MVP in all 3 of those bowls. I was going to throw that in, but I figured that wouldn't really help. So anyway, our game has come.
Honestly, though, David, that would have helped because Pat White was just.
He was so good.
Yeah,
so
he
good.
was one of those guys. Absolutely.
I was saying that West Virginia team with him and Steve Slayton and Noel Devine, that was the cheat code on NCAA for PlayStation. Yeah. Also, you just run like an option, like a zone read offense with them, and it was unstoppable.
Yep. They were like what the Miami Dolphins are now in the NFL. Yeah. That's what they were, and ironically, that's who drafted Pat White, and he threw 5 passes for him.
Well done. All right, so our game has come to an end, and here are the final scores. We are not bowl eligible, not doing themselves any favors, finished with a very respectable 525 points. But our clipboard captains of the game, who are receiving the highly coveted Pat White Award with 925 points, is finally a clean bill of health. All right, everybody. Anyone want to say anything? I know we don't have any guests. Any last parting words?
Congratulations, Matt, on your first bench warmer win.
Yes.
Thank you.
Putting up 925 too. That's
Wait, you've never won it?
This is literally my first win in a full bench warmers game.
Wow.
I think
He's
I'm
been
now
close.
I think I'm like 1-7 now, 1-8.
You're not bowl eligible.
No, I'm not
we'll
bowl
get
eligible.
you soon.
So congrats on that, sir.
We need more Pat White questions.
We do. We've had 2 at least.
No, we don't. Speaking for anybody who's
more
over the age of 30 who isn't named Eric Eid.
More Pat White. More Pat White, Amos Zaraway, all those greats.
All the West Virginia players.
We're going to have an all West Virginia game. I'm writing it now.
I'm sick of that. That's a Tuesday, right?
If
it's a Tuesday.
Unless it's about Jerry West or somebody like that in the true West Virginia days.
Funny thing about West Virginia, that's where I got COVID.
Oh, that's right. So right questions about that state.
The only time I've ever had COVID, I stopped in West Virginia. It's the only reason. It has to be it.
Well, if you'd stop making out with strangers in West Virginia.
No, I was gonna say that's also where he was convinced to just have the mustache.
Listen, that guy's van was held together with duct tape. I'm just saying. It was right before I met David, who had a fish hot dog. That's all I'm saying.
That sounds disgusting every time you say that.
I know. On that note, on behalf of Matt Takimoto, Eric Eid, Scott, Josh, and myself, thank you all for listening to the Benchwarmers Trivia Podcast. And until next time, we'll keep the bench warm.
That ball hit high and deep. Stretch! Get on back there. They look up. You can put it on the board. Yes!
Into deep left center for Mitchell. and we'll see you tomorrow night.
That great music you're listening to is by Justin Nozick. Thanks to him for producing that music for us. You've been listening to the Benchwarmers Trivia Podcast. Make sure to check us out on all of our social media. We are at Benchwarmers TP.